This is a blooper.
Alright.
You gotta make sure the lips is right.
Yes, please. I got some more, but you know, I gotta dab it. That's the key. You gotta...
A little dab dab. My edges are not doing what I needed to do, and my ends need to be cut. But you know, it's still cute.
We just girls.
Just girls. All
I
right.
feel like my chain is all crooked, but it's the style now.
Do you feel like you leaning? Let me see if I could.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like. Oh, I just. I forgot I'm not in my early 20s no more.
Hello? Yes, you are.
Correct. No,
Wait, you over? Oh.
I'm in my mid 20s.
Oh, excuse the heck out of me.
Grown woman.
Did you get a straw?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Did you? Oh,
I don't
you
think so.
didn't need
Yeah.
it. Even
All
with
right.
those cups, I still get a straw.
No, cause I don't like the when it rub against it. I don't like that. I hope y'all don't hear the
How about
the AC.
I was gonna say I'm cold. You ain't
Okay.
cold?
I do be cold sometimes.
Yeah.
But it be getting hot.
Anyways.
Well, wait. New episode.
Right. The purpose of the video is Starbies and car chats.
Starbies and car chat. You gotta show your the thing so you can see what we got.
Screenshot. Yeah.
Wait,
I'm about to
show
put
them
y'all
first.
on. Well, let me
Yeah.
not say put y'all on, because if it's nasty.
Oh, I mean, it might be good to y'all.
Yeah.
You see, that's what we got. That's what we got
So this is us trying new drinks.
for the first time because we always do this, but we just now putting y'all on. We used to do this dead in the winter. That's so crazy.
No, for real.
All right.
The coldest drinks too.
Frozen.
Like I don't remember getting a hot drink from Starbucks
never
in the
did.
winter time.
Cause who tastes hot drinks?
So mine is vanilla bean frap
Mm-hmm.
with vanilla sweet cream, strawberry
Puree. Puree. Puree.
Ray.
Uh-huh.
Add caramel crunch to the top. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Isn't that supposed to be the cheesecake?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a strawberry shortcake type of vibe going on. Yeah.
All
What you
right.
got?
And then I got a grande vanilla bean cream caramel frap, vanilla sweet cold foam, no whip, extra caramel drizzle, and extra caramel crunch.
Ooh, I
on
should have got
top.
extra caramel crunch. Cause they was a
So-
little stingy with my crunch. Like a whole-
I mean, it's because it's not supposed to be all caramel. So let's.
All right.
You gotta
Yeah.
shake it first.
Yeah, you gotta stir a little bottom. Alright.
Mine
Ready?
ain't really shaking, but you know. All right.
Oh yeah, and we got small just in case it was not hitting. I gotta try that again.
Yeah, I feel like I just tasted This is just
I just
like
tasted
diabetes
mashed
in a cup.
strawberry.
I feel like I'm tasting the foam on top. Like I'm not tasting.
Probably that's why I said a straw. Cause you ain't gonna taste it.
Oh, I don't even think I got a straw sitting around. I got a grapefruit sitting around. Oh! See? This proof I gotta go to the car wash.
I feel like mine tastes like it gives it kind of it wants to give strawberry shortcake, the little ice cream bars, but it's kind of giving strawberry Pop-Tart. Yeah.
What's good? That's how you know it's good when you look at it.
Told you. Right, like what that say right there?
Mm.
That had that before right there.
Let's give it up. That's liquor. That's
Right.
liquor.
You said this is what? The caramel crunch? Yeah, I taste that.
Yep, I taste the crunch.
This is pretty good.
What you rate it?
I'm trying to figure out if I would order this again. I don't, cause I feel like the strawberry is a little over. Even though it's supposed to be the main thing, but it is like kind of like overpowering. I don't taste no.
That's why I didn't want to get the
crunch.
strawberry thing
I don't taste no caramel. I just taste strawberry.
because I feel like it has a strawberry puree plus you got
Yeah,
strawberries
maybe
in
I
it.
should never got the puree.
Purity. She about to say
Purity. Yeah, we pure over here. I don't know. Like
Would you?
I'll give it
Let's go 1 to 10. 1 to 10.
7.5. 7.5.
I think I love a sweet little side. I do love it. But what I get is I feel like it's real sweet, and I think I'm growing up. Like I definitely need a cup of water.
Girl.
I definitely need some water now. Auntie can't do this. Auntie blood sugar went to 400.
Crazy.
Yeah, 400. I need water. And I'm about to go in there.
Diabetes.
I'm about to go in there and get a courtesy cup of ice.
Right, but like, let me get 2 of those actually.
And let me get a courtesy cup of water. Let me get a venti water. Yo, people that go to Starbucks and get a venti water is really ridiculous.
And that's it.
Like, what?
And that's it. Like,
why are you paying for water?
you ain't had water at home.
You couldn't go to deli and the same water. Like what?
Nah, they just need really fancy cup, and then they be carrying around all day. Nobody needs you to see you in that strawberry. That Starbucks cup. Like,
I'm done. But no, that's kind of retarded.
It is.
But anyways, welcome to Car Chats. What we do. So a little bit of backstory about Car Chats. Pretty much Car Chats is literally what it's called. It's we link up.
Yeah.
We chat in the car over some Starbucks.
Yeah.
Like we
spontaneously, like it be like, what you doing? You busy? Come outside.
Come outside. Like when life be
life,
yeah. When life be life, we gotta head to Starbucks and be like, let's talk. Cause life is like a little too hard. Right. When somebody try you, or when that coworker did a little too much and they think they the boss, you gotta talk about that. Please understand your name get mentioned in this car.
Yeah.
No,
heavy on that.
But we have it over Starbucks because Starbucks makes everything like just better.
Yeah, especially when you have like, your bestie. You and best friends for like 9 years, going on
like
10.
9-10 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a long time.
But it wouldn't be a car chat if we don't let y'all in on what we be chatting about. So let's talk about friendships.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I seen a video yesterday that got me all the way together. All the way.
Read it from start to finish. Like,
it said close the chapter. Book done.
Friendship breakups.
Friendship breakups and situationship breakups. Ooh, Jesus.
Cause like
some things put you in therapy.
It's like,
cause what you mean be over.
Wow. Like, cause it's like in your head you think about everything that like you've been through with that person, and then like also like the future stuff y'all was supposed to do, like, yo, you supposed to be my kid's godmother, my maid of honor, or like my bridesmaids, like,
especially like friendships from young to like older. Like we started back in high school, even though it was technically sort of the ending of high school into college. Like we met in high school, we knew each other, but we actually became like close and besties in college. It started
every class together.
It started class, literally at registration when it was like, what's your major? Right,
like, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, we gotta do those classes.
I'm gonna do that. And then it was like, every class inseparable since. And then now look.
two different careers.
Right, absolutely 2 different careers. But we still locked in. It's okay. Yeah. Still tight like a booty hole. So what's the difference between a best friend, your friend, and somebody you cool with? Because y'all just be putting them things together like it's all the same thing. It's not. So what you think, what's the difference for you?
So a friend, I feel like, it's like somebody I can like count on, depend on, but I'm not really gonna tell you too much of everything. Like, you'll get like, some of the stuff, but I feel like I will still be a little cautious of like everything I tell you. Whereas that's mostly like reserved for my best friend. Like a best friend's like a sister. Like this person right here, like she know my whole family, like my mom, my dad, my sisters, my cousins, my nieces, like everybody knows her. And like I feel like there isn't anything that I've ever hid from you, really. Like at some point in time, even if it's like something that I need to work out first before I say something, like eventually you gonna know. Like
pretty much. Yeah.
And then somebody you cool with is just like, basically, if you won't hang out with that person outside of like where you met them at, like let's say like school, like you meet them at school or you meet them at your job or something like that, and you won't consider hanging out with them, outside of work or outside of school, you're just cool with them. Like, that's just your school friend. That's just your coworker, basically. Like,
your little friend.
Your little friend.
Your little friend, as grandma would call
Yeah,
it.
because it's like it's convenient, basically. Like, oh, okay. And also you're cool with them. You already know I'm about to read it. Clock it. But you're also just cool with them because, like, sometimes we don't notice in a moment because we feel like, we're bonding with this person. We're cool with this person. And sometimes it's just like you're just trauma bonding. Like, when y'all both in a similar situation, especially when it's a situation that's like bad, y'all bond over it and you feel like, oh my god, this is a cool individual. But let's say like you end up getting yourself together out of that situation, that person's no longer serving you anymore because it's like that person either still stuck in that situation or maybe they even got themselves out of that situation and it's like, okay, well, now we ain't got nothing else in common. Like, we only was talking or like friends because we were both in the same situation. Whether we both got out of it or just one of us, it's like, okay, friendship done. So that's not really, a friend, but you gotta see that.
I think that sometimes that can go into friend because thinking about what we was talking about earlier, I think there's some friendships that are seasonal. And by seasonal, we're not talking about just for the winter, when you have your little winter bay. No, but like seasonal for a period in your life. So maybe you was friends with that person for like 5-6 years, but that was just maybe a season that you were in. Like maybe God had you in a season of like just growing and maturing in a certain area, and this is somebody that just God has placed on your path or you adapted yourself to. Because sometimes people ain't supposed to be your friend and you wondering why you going through hell and high waters for everything. And it's like, it's because the people you surround yourself with.
Right.
And I had to realize that as I grew, I think once you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you grow up, you start to realize like the people around you, if we're not going the same way, like we need to break up, which is hard. In some instances when you love somebody, but you gotta love you more.
Absolutely. Especially when you feel like that person is like draining you, like you're constantly feeling like,
well, you're not growing. Like we're adults. Like imagine we were just laughing about how when we were in high school, how we were like totally different. Like in high school, I was like the bangs. This one always had on a tutu. You couldn't catch on a tutu today, but back in high school,
right, every
girl,
day,
every
winter,
color.
snow,
Listen,
rain.
tutu. That was her little nickname, tutu. But it's just like, imagine to this day she's still wearing tutus and doing certain things that's like immature. It's like you're not growing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like I had to realize that in certain people. It's just like I want to be. It's kind of like when you're trying to be a doctor and your friend's still trying to be on the block. And it's not that we can't be cool, but we cannot be best friends. Why? Because what you aspire to do with your life and what I aspire to do with my life and the way I'm trying to go, it's like this. And it's okay to choose two different paths. But if one path is negative and the next path is positive and your path is going to end you dead or in jail or in drama, then what am I, like, I'm trying to be a doctor. A doctor cannot end up in jail. Those two things, hello? I'm not going to be nobody's surgeon if I'm in prison and I'm on the block. You know what I mean? And it goes to other things because we're not just going to keep it on drugs. But it goes to like, if I can't be the girl I'm outside, but then I'm talking about I want to get married. Those things don't go together. If you're trying to get married, you can't be outside.
Right.
You can go outside once in a while to meet the person you're going to marry, but you can't be outside. You know? y'all know what I mean. But
I agree.
It's
and like my professor, like he used to say, like, have friends that's like better than you and and in a higher position than you, because that's gonna inspire you, and that also puts you in other rooms that can elevate you. You don't want to be with friends who, like you said, always on the block or always in the club. Not saying the club is bad, because I be a little two-stepping sometimes, but like, you know what I'm saying, like sometimes you need those friends that's also gonna push you to be like, yo, you said that you wanted a new job, did you apply for that yet?
Right.
Or did you get back into school? You know what I'm saying? So it always has to be
hold you accountable.
Yeah, definitely heavy on that. And also with like friendships, you don't want it to always be one-sided, especially about to clock it again. But especially when you feel like a friend, is it really your friend? because like for you they'll be like, I can't really do it, or they're not really available. And granted, like I'm always down to like give people grace. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes people can't show up the way that you want them to, and that's okay. But like if it's never like you never show up for me, but then what's the name you show up to all the time for? Like that's crazy, bro. And especially when it's like they go out their way to show up for somebody, like out their way. Like I asked you for a ride and I live like maybe 10 minutes away, but you was like, nah, I'm too tired or whatever. All right, cool, bet. But then what's the name could ask you for a ride and they live a half an hour, 45 minutes, and you like bet, get in the car. Excuse me. Excuse me.
But this is where we're opposite. Cause me, I don't care. Like I care about my birthday, but like this one, she gonna go all out every time. Me, I'm real simple. Like there's been many years where I didn't even celebrate a birthday. I'm caring more now as I get older. I just care about peace of mind. I don't care about all the extras. I just care like as long as I'm at peace and I'm not working, we're good.
Have you ever not working?
Cause I can't believe that I used to go to work on my birthday. Like, ugh, the ghetto. But like, if you can't even, cause that person, the second person, not the
I'm clocking it.
But when it comes to birthdays, don't pop out. And not saying that you have to do the most for me, but when it's your birthday, I do the most for you. You know what I mean? And like I go out my way. And I know that's just my character, you know what I mean? So I'm learning. This is still the period of growth for me where I'm just like, I'm not just judging. I'm also taking a look at myself instead of just looking at other people. But I'm just like, you know what? I had to realize I cannot, and this became a prayer point for me because I had to realize that, what was I saying? I can't expect me out of people. You know what I mean? So like me,
absolutely,
I will spend whatever, do whatever. Like my love language part of it is giving. Like I love to give.
Absolutely,
okay?
I can agree with that. Cause this girl,
but that's the thing.
I need a new car part by tomorrow. Shorty be like, yeah, I just ordered it for you. I'm like,
right, but that's just me. But
okay,
I can't expect. I can't expect the same thing out of her. Like I do. This one I do.
And I show up and I show out.
But that's because it's also who she is as well. But you can't expect that from everybody. So there were some people in my life where I was just like, dang, like I always gotta pick up the phone. Like I always gotta do the most.
Yeah.
And I had to reevaluate, like, okay, are you mad at them because you think they're a bad friend because they don't like buy the same gifts as you, or like I don't know, take you out to eat, whatever, just making up stuff. And it's just like, but is that them?
Yeah, right.
You know, people show their love in different ways. Me, I show my love by going out my way. I'm a giver. Like, so I'm going to give my time, my energy, my resources, my gifts, whatever I give. If I love you, I give. And I just had to realize, like, the maturity. And as I grew, I was just like, okay, am I expecting too much?
Right.
Or is this person just not my friend? And I just had to realize that this person may be seasonal. And I think about a person, I thought of them as a friend because I've known them for so long. But then it's like, no, I just felt like maybe I'm just a seasonal person. Like I felt like God put me in their life to be their friend, but they were never supposed to be my best friend. But I was supposed to be a best friend to them, if that makes sense, because it's like they needed that. And it's just like, that was kind of like, I'm not gonna say a hard pill to swallow, but kind of hard pill to swallow, because it was just like, God, they ain't being what I'm being, and they not what I need. And God's like, I didn't place them in your life to be what you think, you know, like what you want from them, and that's not why I placed them in your life. I placed them in your life because what you have in you is what they need, and what you require may come from a different person and a different source. But that's a Bible study. Tune into Fresh Start, Bible study 7:30.
To add to that though, like I think also like with the expectations, and I'm gonna go a little therapist on here.
Do like, it, cause she a therapist.
Also with like boundaries in your friendships, like you were saying, with expectations, allowing somebody to show up as themselves, right, and giving them grace for it, and having those expectations of like, okay, like this is my friend. course gonna expect loyalty and the simple stuff, you know. But also, like you said, like, is that the person, can that person give you that, you know? And if not, are you going to be okay with that? What are some other boundaries? Like, it doesn't always have to end with, like, you're just never going to be their friend anymore or never going to talk to them. It could be like, all right, well, when I have the capacity, I know that I can hang out with so and so. But when I don't have the capacity, it's like, I'm gonna maybe, like, you know, text her and maybe not call because I know she's gonna have so much to say and I just don't got it in me, you know. So just like assessing that and setting those boundaries. I love that what we do is like check-ins, like. So we're always, when something goes on, because something's always going on, let me stop. Life's always like this. But like when something is happening, you know, we check in and be like, how are you? You know, do you have the capacity to hold on to my stuff? You know, because sometimes we have, we can fall into that, oh, I'm gonna dump, you know, and 9 times out of 10 it's not personal, it's not on purpose, but it's like, I need to just get it off my chest, and this is my best friend, you know. But you also have to think about that person and saying, like, do they have, you know, the means capacity, to even deal with that themselves, you know. So I like that we do that, and I just encourage other people to, you know, do that, having those boundaries in a friendship. And I just really think that friendship just needs to be a lot of conversations, just like a relationship. Like, you know, there are times when I can't stand her, like, but like at the end of the day,
it's rare.
It's rare though, which is so crazy because I don't even think we've ever had an argument before. Like we had like petty stuff like you're dumb annoying. Like you're annoying, like. But it's because we're so open and we
have each other's space.
Yeah, like, and we're receptive to like what the other person has to say. Like even in the moment, like if it's like you're annoying, like we have the language to say like, hey, I'm not receptive to what you're saying to me. You know, like let's have a conversation later where I can actually, you know, and it got to a point also is like we can read each other. Like I'll come in and if I'm quiet because I talk, I'm a yapper, certified, okay? And when I come in the car and I'm quiet, like, she'll give me a little minute and then she'll be like, what's wrong? What happened? You quiet. Like, you know, like, or if she finds, like, me, like, disassociating, like, I'll just be staring at something. Or, like, I'm talking, but I'm not really making sense because I'm, like, saying so many things at one time. I'm not even making a full sentence. She'll be like, all right, so what happened? Like, you know, and vice versa. Like, I know her. I know what something's happening to. Or, like, if she don't text me for a couple of days, I'll be like, hello, man.
Like, I love you. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, and that's either one or two things. Either, like, I'm in one of those, like, moods, or I'm been sipping a little.
Yeah, because when she's drunk, she's like, I love you so much. I'm like, this girl drunk.
I'm like, you're the love of my life.
Oh, dude, I'll be like, she drunk. Just ignore the text. I'm like, I love you too. Talk to you later. Yeah. I'm in the middle of work and she's like, do you know you're so special? I'm like, oh God.
Right, or I'll send you something that's saying something like, oh, you're so smart, you're so worthy. Like, I know you be like,
I'm like, who needs a man when you have her?
Right.
I'm like, all I need is her to have a little liquor and I'll know my word. All right, so another topic that we want to talk about is comparison. It's the thief of joy.
Word.
It's not good to compare yourself. You are it all by yourself. You don't gotta be like nobody. Okay.
Especially now that it's like everything's so documented. Like social media is not real life, guys. Like it's really not. And it's like you see people who's like 18 buying houses, buying cars, you know, and you're like 35 and maybe you're still living in an apartment and you're like, yo, what the hell am I doing? You know, it has you questioning yourself, and really your paths are too different. Like, you know, just making sure that you doing what you need to do. You'll get there, trust me, because my God, he a mighty one. Okay,
big God, not the little. We don't put no lowercase g's when we talking about God.
Facts.
But then you know how I think a big part of comparing yourself comes from it stems from parenting, and social media. And that's why it's good to delete the social media.
You see me, I'm incognito.
Hello? No
I don't
gram,
even
yes.
exist.
And it's really good because you choose joy, because so often it's so easy to look at some, oh, they got a new house, they announced their car, they announced, they got the little keys in the apartment or whatever. And that's cool and all. Don't ever hate on nobody else, because you don't know. Like, yes, they got a new BMW and it's cool, but can they afford it? Yeah. You looking at you like, oh, I got an 04 Honda. I always got little issues. They got a BMW. We the same age. What am I doing wrong? Yeah. We grew up together. And it's like, but can they afford the BMW? Or did they sit there and
they try to keep up with the Joneses?
They got $1,000 credit, $1,000 bill that they struggling to maintain while you ain't got a car note.
Because I'm thinking about but here nor there, that, and also you don't know everyone's story, so they could be they could have been in the same situation that you were, or even worse, and they fought their way out of that, to where it's like God has blessed them with that car that they were praying for years. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we're thinking like people got it easy, they got it so good,
they got it like that. Yeah, like, that's not always the case. Like, people have to fight behind closed doors, and you don't know other people's fight. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've never compared myself. I've never like felt that way. Of course I have, but then I just be like, what's for me is for me. And if something was meant for me, I'm gonna have it in the time that I'm supposed to have it. And I don't want to have what's meant for me before it's time, because then I'm gonna ruin it, because it's not time for me to have what I'm like. Imagine when you gonna have a house before it's meant for you to have a house. Now you can't juggle a house and you lose the house. I would rather be alone in the apartment and be like, dang, I really wish I had a house, and wait for that house, than to get the house when it's not time for me to have the house, and then I can't maintain the house. Then I lose the house, because then I'm like, dang. And then I got to start over years down the line when it's really meant for me to have the house. When God is like, now's your time, because you can maintain it. You have the finances, you have the mentality, you have the budget, you have the discipline. When you was 22 and 23 years old, you didn't have the discipline. That's a whole word. But it's just like, don't compare. And aside from social media, it's also how people grew up, like the parents, and how sometimes
self-esteem.
Like
your parents can really, like, shape,
send that thing straight to hell.
Shape who you are, like.
Yeah,
but just stepping into my field, right? With the whole self-esteem, I definitely help people, in therapy with their childhood traumas, and basically hearing their parents' voices instead of their own, as far as like when they're looking in the mirror, they're hearing when their mom used to call them like too dark or too fat, or you know what I'm saying, and being able to erase that voice and hearing your own. I think also just realizing that we have internalized a lot of things. Sometimes it's unconsciously, until we start talking about it and unpacking it, which is my favorite line. Unpack that.
I gotta say something off camera. I just had a whole revelation. Ooh.
But yeah, and so undoing and unlearning a lot of things that we were taught, right? And one of the things, like we said, is self-esteem and how we view ourselves. And so if my mom is always saying like, you always bring in C's home, which my mom, by the way, it's not about mom, but if my mom was to be like, yeah, you always bring in C's home, you're not good enough, like, what
definitely
is this?
Wasn't you.
Yeah, because
a student.
And then she's like, oh, look at your sister is so smart, your sister's so this, right? Yep. Like, one, that's gonna bring up a lot of resentment, not only towards my mom but also towards my sister. And also with that is like, okay, well, I'm not good enough, I'm gonna be mediocre, I'm always gonna be a C student, and that's gonna then transfer over to like, well, now I'm gonna just accept anything, right? Because I feel like I'm not deserving of anything. And so that then spills over to friendships, relationships with yourself, right? And so if I'm accepting anything, yeah, I'm gonna accept this man who got 5 kids on me, drive my car around, and he just give me the time of day when he feel like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm gonna accept this friend who always telling my business, always, needed to borrow something from me, never paying me back, So definitely I say everybody needs therapy, okay?
Everybody.
Everybody.
But tapping into let's unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
What is some healthy ways? Because something you just said that I was just like, oh, that's it's hearing your parents' voice instead of yours.
Mm-hmm.
How do you help somebody with that? Because like this is also why our car chats exist, because this is my unofficial unpaid therapist. Like I pay her with Starbucks. Like I pay for dinner sometimes, and that's how I pay for my therapy.
Not hearing your
What does that even mean?
Voice. So basically, like when decision making, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's decision making or like I stated before with looking in the mirror,
mm-hmm.
And seeing yourself, if it's more so of like something you've been told by your parent, right, that you internalize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your own thoughts. It's like, oh, my mom would have said this about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used to struggle with a lot with decision making. I always went to my mom for a lot of that. And so sometimes I second guess the things that I know that I want to do, right? Because I feel like, okay, maybe I'm going to make the wrong decision. I'm going to mess up my life. And so I always be like, okay, well, my mom would say this or my mom would do this, and sometimes that's good, but then sometimes it's like you're hindering yourself because now the expectation is always meeting what my mom would have wanted, right? Or what my mom would have felt, and this is not my mom's life, no offense to her, but it's mine, right? And I have to live it, and I have to make sure that I'm doing what's best for me. And so for a lot of things, like hearing your parents' voice as far as when you're out, you're like, okay, well, I'm having a lot of like anxieties about these, or I'm having these negative thoughts. Let's say like, oh yeah, if I don't do XYZ, or if I don't get XYZ, like I'm not worthy. And let's say back then my mom used to say that to me, right? Like, oh yeah, you never got this, so like you ain't gonna be nothing. So that's, now I internalize that, and now I'm thinking that for myself. Yeah. So it's like, okay, because my mom, my dad told me this, I'm living by that. Like, and it's giving me anxiety because that's all I'm hearing. I'm not hearing Yasmin say like, yo, you got this. Like, don't even thinking about like, you know, what you've heard or what you said. And like I said, it goes to self-esteem. You said, how can you like kind of help with that?
Yeah, let's get some free therapy gems.
Definitely, I teach a lot of my clients boundaries with their parents, which is really hard.
Especially in the black and brown community, in all communities, but you can only talk about the black and brown.
Boundaries, especially because sometimes our parents, like no matter what, we're going to be kids to our parents, right? They're going to feel like, you know, you're the child, I know what's best because I've been here longer. And so when you bring up boundaries, most times they get offended because like, what do you mean boundaries? Like
what do you mean? I'm the mother and you're the
like
child.
Or you can't tell me this. Why do you feel like you can't tell me this? Why are you hiding from me? But I think boundaries are definitely needed. I definitely, and I say that a lot with like some of my clients who have codependency, right? Especially with their mothers. They're really like codependent, or like, oh yeah, like I brought up the example of like, oh, I asked my mom for advice every time I do something. Like I tell her like, oh mom, do you think I should move into this building? Oh mom, do you think I should, you know, asking everything of your mom can then turn into codependency. Like you're not making a decision without running to your mom for that. So yeah, definitely establishing boundaries, and that can take some time, right? But you have to, with establishing boundaries, you have to figure out like how or what do you want to establish. So for instance, if I have a situation where with my mom, I know that when I talk about a certain type of topic, that's when we have arguments, right? So moving forward, I may not tell my mom that, right? I could still have a relationship with her. I could still go out. I could still do all this with her. But I know this particular thing, I'm not going to share with my mom because we're going to get into an argument. We're going to do all this extra stuff, right? And then maybe we're not going to talk and stuff like that. So I'm going to avoid that. And so that could be setting just like a simple boundary. I also encourage people with self-esteem to doing a lot of affirmation. Right, I know sometimes people are like, oh, it don't work, But you have to do it on the days, not only when you feel good, but when you don't feel good. So that you get used to it, right? You feeling it. I know sometimes also people will say, well, I don't believe it, right? So it doesn't mean nothing to me, because if I'm saying I am beautiful, I am smart, or I am worthy, I'm not really feeling that because I don't feel that. And so I would then encourage them to say, like, okay, well, say, I am working on myself, right? I am healing. So you're putting it more so in like ing, right? At the ending of those words, so that you are saying to yourself that you are in the process of getting there. And so you're saying like, I am becoming, a better version of myself. I am making sure that I'm going to continue to work on myself to know my worth, right? So sometimes we can put those words instead of just saying I am this if we're not feeling that. And then lastly, just continue to have talks with yourself. I always encourage like journaling. Some people don't like journaling.
I love a journal.
But if not, you can always record yourself and playing it back, so sometimes when you talk things out, other things come up that you didn't really realize that was there. So yeah, but all in all, self-esteem isn't an overnight thing. It's definitely a process. Healing is a process. That's why it's ing at the end, right? Because it's ongoing. And then also self-esteem is just that, self, right? You can't get that from anybody else. You can't say, oh, you're messing with my self-esteem, or oh, like putting your worth into somebody, because God forbid that person leaves, then what, right? You're left to...
You can't lose yourself because you gave it to somebody else.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, like I said, go to therapy, folks.
So what I will leave y'all with is some tips of stuff that I do. So you heard from a therapist herself. I am not in therapy, but we getting there. Something that I do, I insert as a question. I say, one, I just remind myself of the word of God. What does God say about me? What does God say in general? Because the word of God would never return unto him void. That's one. So I speak life over myself regardless of what I'm feeling. Because the reality is, it ain't always going to be a good day.
It's not.
Life ain't always, life be lifing.
And give yourself grace. Like, we
Absolutely.
are humans on a floating rock. Like, we are not going to have our stuff together all the time.
Like, and almost never, because when you got one thing together, something else ain't together, okay?
It ain't one thing.
Listen. But another thing that I do is I take my little AirPods, and I mean, I drive a car now, but before I drove, I used to go for walks. Like, anybody that know me know I will go for a walk. I will walk hours. I throw in my headphones, and sometimes it's the music, but music is also, be mindful what you're putting in your ears. But I used to just throw in my headphones as if I was listening to music, and I would sit there and I would talk to God, or like I'm on the phone, because if I'm just walking around just talking to God out loud, ooh, somebody gonna think I'm crazy. Like, I'm honest with God. I'm like, listen, God, me and mom going through it, or hey, I love that man and I ain't supposed to be in love with that man, or whatever it is. So you can't be saying that out loud, and then people be all in your business. So I would say it out loud, but like on the phone. And I'm not like this. I'll just maybe sometimes whisper it, or if I'm really alone, like I used to go to the park, sit by the water, and I'd literally just be like, all right, God, this is where I'm at. Also, this car chats, this is a form of therapy for me, as far as like just having somebody else's opinion and having the friend that holds you accountable, not somebody that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. So yes, sometimes like this is a boundary that we set, or something that we do, where it's just like we ask each other like, hey, do you need advice, or do you need me to just listen?
Right.
And I tell her like both. I need you to listen first, and then like tell me, am I bugging, am I wrong, like whatever. And then another last thing that I do, I used to write, and I still do write, but more so I type. Get in your phones, get in that notes app, and I write letters to God. Like, I straight up write my prayers, and I'm like, God, I am struggling, I am sad, I am happy, I am whatever, I'm hungry, whatever it is.
Because if I ever lose my phone, don't go into my notes app, and don't go into any conversations, mommy.
Yeah, don't go into the group chat, the best friend chat, whoever on that little top bubble. Right. Yeah, don't press none of them things.
Don't press my pins.
They know all my business, and I'm over with. But no, I go on my notes app and I lock my notes because
Yeah.
you're not finna get me.
Mm-hmm.
But do what works for you. If
Yeah.
that means, I 100% encourage therapy because, as you heard from the therapist herself, therapy is good. But for those that may not be able to afford it, for those that may not physically be ready to take that step, talk to God, write in your phone. If you're not a believer, hello, still get in that phone, write them feelings down, because I do definitely believe that when you put it into the atmosphere, when you say it out loud, it takes the burden off of you for a bit. So I always tell people, like, if you mad sack and you all up in your head and you got headaches, can't sleep, can't eat, say them things out loud. I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that. Say these things because it provides truth and life to it. Like, I'm owning what I feel, and I think a lot of the times the stress comes from denying. And you got to be honest with yourself first, because what's the point of getting in therapy and you gonna lie to the lady?
Lie to
Like,
the lady.
hello, don't get in somebody's face, let your insurance be charged, and you paying that little copay and you lied.
Which is crazy, because I don't think I've ever had that issue. Like, all my clients, like,
I couldn't be a therapist. I'm gonna hang up on you. Why are you lying?
typically, like, the first sessions is like, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're telling me everything. I'm like, oh, okay.
Woo, child. I remember I went to, like, this, like, little therapy, like a little therapy session kind of thing. Not really, but it was like kind of just to kind of see where my head was at. Somebody was helping me with something, and I came with a list. I said,
Not a list.
I had a paper and I wrote so much things down. There's like, because they asked me, like, when you come to me, I want you to come to me and tell me what you want to talk about. Like, we could talk about anything you want to talk about, but I need whatever's on your chest to get off. Whoo, child. That little 20-minute conversation was like 2 hours. I was like, cat, dog, mom, dad, work, car, like everything you could think of. If it was on my mind, it was on that paper.
Yeah.
But listen, sometimes it helped. Hello? Okay, it definitely helped. And it's important. It's important, guys.
And
Get
on
help.
top of that, therapy is not about some stranger telling you what to do. Okay?
Oh.
Let's get that straight. Therapy is not. Therapy is for you to unpack and discuss the things that you want to, right? And then the person that is listening to you, they are then bringing that back up for you. Like, I heard you say this, right? I heard you say that. And making you and giving you a different perspective on things, right? I never give advice. I always give encouragement as far as, you know, some of the things that I would think that is beneficial for you to do, right? But ultimately, I always tell my clients, these are your sessions, right? Whatever you want to unpack, you can. If you need to scream, curse, you know, this is where you do it at. And in the first sessions, I always get basically a gist of what you want to do moving forward in our sessions together. Like, what are some of the therapeutic goals that you want to set and that we're going to work on? Of course, it's never going to be like a set type of session. And I design my sessions that way because I feel like sometimes we have things that, you know, come up in life, right? And so if last week we were discussing boundaries with my parents, but then this week my boyfriend got me tight, and so now that's what I want to talk about, I'm gonna allow you that space to talk about that. I'm not gonna sit here and say, no, we weren't talking about that last week, so you can't, you know, like, things come up that you want to talk about that may be more of a priority that week than us talking about some of your other goals. So all in all, therapy is helpful, okay? But for real, I definitely encourage people to do therapy. I know sometimes, like, it's hard. Accessibility is like it's low right now, especially with it's like a lot of people are like waitlisted for therapy, or a lot of people can't afford it or don't have the insurance. So I would definitely be open to making maybe videos about it or something. I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
We're going to introduce her channel. I'm coming with therapy.
But yeah, just to help everyone, because I feel like everyone should have access to that. Like, I would say it should be free, but then how am I gonna get paid? I mean, the government could pay me, right?
Okay.
I
have a whole business idea. But you know what I will do to end this video? I will tag we'll talk about some links to put into the video to find a therapist, find resources, even books or anything that she may recommend to help you on your journey. If you don't have a therapist, you always got Jesus, okay?
Because Jesus loves you. And so do I.
But we will put the suicide number in here because, hello, we not quitting life, we quitting problems, okay? But then also just links to therapy and things of that nature, okay? So this is Jay and Yaz in Car Chats. We will see y'all next episode.